After getting drunk, I asked the CEO for leave. I sent the message while drowsy and mistyped the words. "Honey, I'm drunk and have a bit of a headache. Can I kiss you tomorrow?" The next day, I woke up and grabbed my phone, only to see the aloof CEO replying succinctly, "Okay!" Exclamation point. On the third day, when I went to work at the company, I avoided the CEO. But he cornered me in the restroom, and the CEO's voice was low with a hint of danger. "Didn't you say you wanted to kiss me yesterday? Why are you hiding?"
Welcome to listen to my full sweet love series novel. I'm the blogger and I'm Twilight's novel. Now let's start the main story.
After graduation, I landed a job as secretary to John, the heir of a powerful business circle. John is extremely difficult to deal with, having severe physical and psychological cleanliness obsessions. His office must be free of even a speck of dust, and he keeps no women around him. I not only have to report every detail of work but also manage all aspects of his life meticulously. I must be on call 24/7, fending off any women trying to get close to him, and on every business trip, I stay in the room next to John's. I need to stay highly alert, always ready to calmly eject women sent by rivals, stripped naked and waiting in John's bed, from hotel rooms and buy him hangover medicine. After working non-stop for nearly 3 months and successfully acquiring a media company, John returned to his hometown. I could finally relax and get some proper rest. For the first time in many days, I left work on time. I and a few close colleagues swapped our dull work clothes for sexy outfits and went clubbing. Taking advantage of the rare break, I drank glass after glass, sobbing on my colleague Alex's shoulder. "That damn John, he works me like a donkey every day," making it feel like we're in a long-distance relationship even though we're at the same company. Alex's eyes reddened too. After this acquisition, we can finally rest properly. I shed envious tears. Everyone gets to rest except me. Every holiday, John bombards me with endless calls. Last Labor Day, his family set him up on a blind date, and he immediately called me, telling me to dress up and pose as his girlfriend to scare the girl away. Over these 3 years, I've kicked women out of hotels 42 times, helped him ditch 26 blind dates, secretly bought him 24 money trees, and cleaned his office nearly 2,000 times. Damn capitalist. I'll sue him for exploiting employees through labor arbitration. Mike patted my shoulder sympathetically. "Look on the bright side. What if you become the boss's wife one day?" I waved drunkenly. "No chance. If John and I ever get together, I'll eat this glass." After the party, Sophia, an intern who hadn't drunk, drove each of us home. Seeing me heavily drunk with dark circles under my eyes, Sophia said achingly, "John's back in his hometown and probably won't come to work tomorrow, Emily. Why don't you take a day off and rest?" It made sense. I'd had 8 cocktails and was too drunk to get up the next morning. After closing the door, I stumbled to the bedroom, grabbed my phone, and texted John, whose contact was saved as cold-faced king of hell. The alcohol had gone to my head, and I drowsily sent John a leave request. "Honey, I'm drunk and have a bit of a headache. Can I kiss you tomorrow?" After sending the message, I passed out. The next day, I woke up feeling awful. I touched my forehead, it was burning, and my nose was stuffed. I must have caught a cold. I habitually picked up my phone. As soon as I unlocked the screen, I saw over a dozen missed calls and messages from John. I jolted in panic. Without even reading the messages, I quickly called him back. Rubbing my temples, I tried to sound professional with my hoarse voice. "John, I was drunk last night, so I missed your calls." I expected John to sarcastically mock me as usual, saying things like, "You still have time to drink? Get back to work now." Typical capitalist rhetoric. But he didn't. Today, John seemed unusually awkward. "I know you drank. Just checking in. How are you feeling? You sound off. Are you sick?" I found it strange. John, who rarely spoke more than 3 words to me outside of work, was asking about my health. The sun must be rising from the west. "Thank you for your concern, John. I'm fine, but after all that overtime, as soon as I relaxed, I sneezed loudly. I think I really am sick." "Take your medicine. I'll have my personal doctor visit you later," John said. "If I can return to the city tonight." John's voice sounded extremely unnatural, almost shy to my ears. He paused, then added, If I can make it back tonight, I'll come see you. Me? Question mark. Me? Come see me? John, you're too kind. It's just a minor illness. No need to visit. Just give me a few more days off. John on the phone seemed to grit his teeth. Emily, why do you think I'm coming? I didn't dare answer, mentally scanning for any documents he might have left at my place or in my car. John's tone turned firm. Take your medicine and get in 4. Don't pass your sickness to me. Me? Question mark. I'd been sick before without issue. My desk is outside John's office, and he usually gives me leave when I'm ill. If I worked while sick, I'd wear a mask, and John would keep his distance, also masked. How could I possibly infect him? Damn capitalist, always finding fault with workers. I cussed him inwardly. After that, John hemmed and hawed awkwardly, not getting to the point nor hanging up. As an employee, I couldn't hang up on the CEO. We were stuck like that. After 5 minutes, worried about my phone bill, I sound out cautiously. John, is there anything else? John finally spoke. His voice rushed and brief. Be good and wait for me to return. Then he hung up quickly. My mind was foggy, and it took me a while to process it. When I did, I exploded. Be good. Was John talking to me or to his pet dog, Lucky? As I puzzled over it, thinking John had lost his mind today, I checked his WeChat messages. One look, and I was stunned. I'd blacked out last night and forgotten how I'd texted John. I'd meant to send, Boss, I'm drunk and have a headache. Can I take tomorrow off? But in the chat window. Me, honey, I'm drunk and have a bit of a headache. Can I kiss you tomorrow? The contact saved as cold-faced king of hell had withdrawn 2 messages. Then he replied, Okay. I was filled with instant regret. I considered resigning outright. I was too embarrassed to face anyone. But then I saw an online post. A netizen shared that she confessed to her boss to slack off at work, and instead of firing her, the boss kept his distance, assigned her less work, and delegated her tasks to others. She gained more free time and even managed to pass the CPA exam. After a full day of mental preparation, I went to work on the 3rd day. Everyone was concerned about my health. Emily, how are you feeling? You're finally here. Emily, if you hadn't come, we'd have been tortured to death. Wah, Emily, how do you put up with the boss normally? While you were gone, I cleaned his office spotlessly, but he pulled out a magnifying glass, pointed at a tiny dust particle, and said I didn't try hard enough. Not only that, he's made me revise my proposal 9 times already. I whispered to them, How's John's mood lately? Has he been looking for a new secretary? Hearing this, David, the special assistant, widened his eyes. What do you mean, hire a new secretary? Emily, are you quitting? Emily, you can't leave. If you go, what will we do? Sarah, the HR director, overheard and exclaimed, Emily, you mustn't go. Before you came, secretaries here changed almost weekly. Since you joined, my workload has dropped significantly. If you feel underpaid, I'll report it to the boss immediately and suggest a raise. I meant to explain that wasn't my intention, but who turns down a raise? I pretended to hesitate. Is that appropriate, Sarah? What if John disagrees? Sarah quickly said. He won't. John values you so much. You're his most trusted confidant. I choked back a gasp, wondering where she got that absurd idea. If I were really John's confidant, I'd have nightmares. I just wanted to gauge John's mood, but no one told me. In the end, I gave up. I never expected that within half an hour, rumors spread through all the company chats that I had argued with John and planned to resign. Everyone looked at me with sympathy and reluctance, since John is a bit off. I'm the only one in the company who can handle him. Others can't stand being in the same room with him for a minute. Unaware, I was still thrilled about Sarah proposing a raise. When I sat down at my desk, the familiar urgent ringtone sounded. John was calling. Remembering the mistaken text, I felt scared. I had an intern answer, Zoe, take this call. If John asks about me, say I'm here but not feeling well. As soon as the call connected, John's deep voice came through. Emily, come to my office. Intern Zoe looked at me helplessly. I pointed to my throat and coughed. Zoe understood, giving me an okay sign and mouthing, "I've got this." Then she reported earnestly into the phone. "John, Emily says her throat hurts and she can't speak. If you have anything, tell me, and I'll relay it." "Me? Question mark." John laughed coldly. "If she can't speak, how does she tell you her throat hurts?" Zoe was very honest. She gestured beside me. "Me." John scoffed and hung up, not calling back for me. For the rest of the day, I played cat and mouse with John. When John had a meeting, I set up the venue, then used fearing to infect others as an excuse to send 2 interns to run the PPT. When John wanted water, I suited up in a mask and hat, dashed from the break room with a coffee cup, brushing past him and nearly spilling coffee on his white shirt. When John ate, I skipped my favorite dishes like tomato beef brisket, sweet and sour pork, and chicken legs, rarely all available at once, and went downstairs for shrimp wontons to avoid him in the cafeteria. I never thought I'd run into John face to face while waiting for the elevator with an iced coffee after lunch. We locked eyes. Very awkward. Usually, John wouldn't be done with lunch yet. Why was he downstairs? David held the elevator and called out, "Emily, hurry in." I didn't dare share an elevator with John. I waved and forced a smile. "Hey, you go ahead. I'll take the stairs to lose weight." David stared at my high heels in shock. "Emily, you're climbing 21 floors in heels?" "Me." John inside the elevator watched me with an amused smile. My face turned bright red. Wendy from finance, my rival, folded her arms and tooted. "Just get in. People might think you're avoiding someone here." Colleagues in the elevator pricked up their ears for gossip, mostly looking at Wendy. Everyone knows we don't get along. Wendy is 8 years older and often acts superior. She always delays my reimbursement requests, and we've had several loud arguments at work. Each time, John uses company harmony as an excuse to tell me not to bother with Wendy. Then he reimburses me privately. Wendy delays my payments for up to a month before the full amount hits my account. So I started hoping she'd give me trouble. It meant extra money. Today I had no issue with her. I was avoiding John. I deliberately coughed violently. "No, I've got a bad cold. I don't want to infect you." David and others warmly urged me. "It's fine, Emily. We don't mind." Really, they just didn't want to be alone with John. With me there, they could chat and lighten the mood. I reluctantly stepped in. The elevator was already crowded with 7 people. Everyone knows John's cleanliness obsession, so they avoided him, pressing against the walls. Wendy shoved me toward John with a hip check. In my heels, I lost balance, stumbled into John's arms, and stepped on his polished shoes. John steadied me. "Careful." Everyone held their breath, looking at me with pity. Normally, John is so clean obsessed that visitors wear shoe covers in his office, and he disinfects his hands repeatedly while handling documents. The last person who stepped on his shoes went bankrupt. Wendy shrieked, "Oh, Emily, you deliberately fell into John's arms and dirted his shoes. Don't you know John has cleanliness issues? If you want to climb the ladder, don't use such obvious tricks in public." Her shrill voice made me want to disappear. John glanced at Wendy, angry but holding back. He turned to me, his voice gentle. "Are you okay?" "Wendy? Question mark. Everyone was stunned. I was surprised too. Since when did John become so tolerant? I remember last time I rode in his car, he had it disinfected after I got out. This time, he didn't even make me wipe his shoes. He asked if I was okay. Was this still the cold-faced king of hell? Did my mistaken text change him? I quickly pulled away. I'm fine. Inadvertently, I brushed against John's finger. John's eye twitched. He struggled to control himself but couldn't resist pulling a portable hand sanitizer from his pocket to clean his hands in front of everyone. "Me!" Exclamation point. The curious gazes turned neutral. I wasn't an exception after all. Wendy nearly laughed herself silly, looking triumphant. I glared at her and explained, "John, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to step on your shoes." Wendy added sarcastically, "So you did it unintentionally?" "Emily, I have to say, as John's secretary for 3 years, you know his cleanliness issues. Yet you still stepped on his shoes to get close. Normally, I'd have torn into her, but today I felt guilty." I flushed, barely able to speak, finally muttering a popular line. "If that's what you think, I have nothing to say." David, always up to date with trends, almost laughed aloud. Wendy's attack fell flat, leaving her speechless and defeated. As the elevator reached the 21st floor, John finally spoke, not to mediate but to stir the pot. With a smile in his eyes he looked at me. Emily, you're usually so articulate. Why stay quiet now? Argue with her. I've got your back. Wendy, hearing this, turned livid. John, you're so biased. John raised an eyebrow. This is work, not your home. Not everyone is your husband who'll indulge you. My people won't give in to you. Wendy snorted and rolled her eyes. Everyone in the elevator gaped. This was the first time John had publicly defended me, his secretary. And in such a flirtatious way. All my colleagues exchanged looks, and David typed furiously on his phone. My face burned, and I avoided John's gaze, calmly delivering another classic line. I believe justice prevails. No need to say more. I trust John and everyone sees the truth. The elevator dinged. John and the others left, while Wendy pointed at me angrily. You just pretend to be aloof and refined. After scolding me, she stormed off. I tried to sneak away, but as I left the restroom, I ran into John calmly wiping his hands. I smiled nervously. Hello, John. As I turned to flee, John said coldly. Emily still running? He stepped closer. Danger! Alarm bells rang in my head. I backed away until I hit the sink, with no escape. I waved my hands defensively. John, I really didn't mean to step on your shoes earlier. John's expression darkened. He leaned in, his breath close, the scent of oud enveloping me. His voice was low and dangerous, whispering in my ear. Didn't you say you wanted to kiss me yesterday? Why are you hiding? My face felt as hot as a boiling kettle. I stammered, unable to form words. That was a mistake. A typo. I looked up pitifully. Really, a mistake? Please be magnanimous and forgive me. John raised an eyebrow, charming like a male fox, his voice tempting. You can't say you've never thought about it? I swallowed, glancing at him. He's undeniably handsome. I nodded, then shook my head. I've thought about it, but only in my dreams. You're the moon in the sky, and I'm a lazy fish in the water. I know my place. I won't defile you. I'll just keep my feelings for you hidden in my heart. After I spoke, John seemed taken aback. Then I wiped non-existent tears. I don't think I can keep being your secretary. John asked. Why? I sighed. If you play with fire, you'll get burned. I'm afraid one day I won't control myself. After that, I covered my face in mock despair. Inside, I was ecstatic, almost laughing out loud. Surely John would hire a new secretary to avoid awkwardness. I might get transferred. John didn't react with shock or anger as I expected. He just nodded calmly. I understand. Is that all? John turned and walked away, and I just breathed a sigh of relief. He came back. Emily, have you eaten? I was about to refuse and say I had already eaten. Before I could speak, John added, always feeling guilty and afraid of running into me, so you specifically went downstairs during mealtime to sneakily eat your usual favorite wontons, right? I immediately shook my head, putting on a righteous expression. No, I just went to buy a cup of coffee. John said with a smile. That's perfect, let's eat together. Coincidentally, all the dishes today are your favorites. I was almost unable to hold back, on the verge of tears. Okay. By the time we went to the cafeteria, there weren't many people left. Many people, upon seeing John, either quickly slipped away or pretended not to see him, and those who bumped into him had no choice but to brace themselves and greet him. John has his own dedicated lunchbox. He doesn't use the cafeteria's plates. I took a cafeteria tray to serve food, looking at the dishes that usually whet my appetite, and at that moment, I regretted not having a smaller portion earlier. I passed by all the meat dishes and pretentiously picked a few pieces of broccoli. John stared at my plate. Emily, are you in a bad mood? Eating so little? I forced a smile. It's almost summer, losing weight. John walked over to me with the tongs. Eat more, you need energy to lose weight, and besides, you're not fat. After saying that, John took my plate and helped me serve a little of every dish. When it came to the big duck legs, he very kindly gave me two. Me, thank you so much. At that moment, a few colleagues who hadn't left in the corner of the cafeteria were whispering, clearly seeming to take sneaky photos. After all, no one eats with John. I'm kind of his half-dining buddy. But this was the first time John actively served me food. Holding that full plate of food, I was on the verge of tears. John smiled with a doting expression. "Eat more, Emily, look how thin you've become." I always felt his smile was malicious, as if he wanted to stuff me to death, because his own lunchbox only had a few pieces of broccoli and some greens, with no staple food. My WeChat was instantly bombarded. David, the special assistant, sent me a message. "Emily, the news that you're resigning has spread throughout the company. Is John reluctant to let you go, so he's starting to act protective? It seems you're still very important to John. He even served you food personally and said he'd back you up." Me? Question mark. Who said I was resigning? That was just a tactic of playing hard to get, a way to ask for a raise. I hesitated several times. Finally, when John looked at me, I gave in. John was clearly on guard, frowning as he looked at me. I was about to cry. I'll admit it to you, I went downstairs and ate a large portion of shrimp wontons. I really can't eat anymore. John visibly relaxed, a hint of an inadvertent smile flashing in his eyes. "Then don't eat." I felt relieved, then said with a regretful expression. It's just a waste of this food, what a pity. I'll pack it up later." As soon as I finished speaking, John reached out and pulled my plate in front of him. "It's okay, I'll eat it." Me? Question mark. Me? Exclamation point. I quickly stopped him. "No, John, this is what I just ate." I quickly reminded John, who has severe cleanliness OCD, thinking he had gone crazy. John curved his lips. "I know." I was shocked. "You know and you still eat it?" John said, "We can't waste it, and you only took a few bites." So I watched in shock as John finished my entire plate of food. I felt completely deflated, forcing a smile as I looked at John. "John, your cleanliness OCD is really like Schrodinger's OCD." John glanced at me calmly, slowly wiping his mouth with a tissue. "Yes, if I even dislike the food you've eaten, how could I kiss you later?" Me? Exclamation point. Is that something you can say? My face instantly turned bright red, and I was almost frantic. "This is a cafeteria, not a hotel, John. Can you please watch your boundaries?" John's eyes were seductive with a teasing smile, and he lowered his voice. "What, do you want to go to a hotel with me?" If it were anyone else saying this to me in the cafeteria, I would immediately dump the tray on their face. But with John, the first thing I thought of was that he has cleanliness OCD, and I'd probably have to wipe my face 100 times. I looked at John, my face burning intensely. I have to say, John's face completely matches my aesthetic preferences. After 3 years together, although every spark of attraction was harshly suppressed by John's unreasonable demands. But every time, I still felt moved by his inadvertent actions, let alone when this ascetic-looking face flirts with me. I really can't handle it. "Let's go, come to my office later to get something." After saying that, John left me there, stunned as if struck by lightning, and walked away directly. I sighed, cursing inwardly. Psycho, after teasing me, he still wants me to work overtime during my lunch break. Damn capitalist, anyone who falls in love with their boss is purely out of their mind. I went to the restroom to wash up, reapply my makeup, and brush my teeth. John has cleanliness OCD. Not only does he brush his teeth 8 times a day, but he also requires me to brush no less than 6 times a day. After waking up, after each meal, after noon break, and at night. If I forget to brush my teeth after eating and report to him, he would look disgusted and make me stand at the door to report. After finishing up, I mentally prepared myself and went to John's office door, knocking. The door opened, and I was pulled inside by John in the blink of an eye, pressed against the door, and then the door closed. I looked at John, who was right in front of me. John had just washed up too, emitting a clean soapy scent mixed with oud, which was particularly intoxicating. This position was strangely intimate. I tried to slip out from under his arm, but he pulled me back and pressed me against the door again. As we locked eyes, John finally spoke, his expression quite unnatural. "I heard you're resigning?" Hundreds of excuses ran through my mind, but before I could speak, John said to me, "Isn't it just because you think your confession failed? Are you embarrassed? But I didn't reject you, did I? It's not entirely hopeless. What if I like you too? Didn't I agree?" Me? Question mark. I asked, puzzled. What did you agree to? John's voice was somewhat hoarse. To kiss you. As soon as he finished speaking, he lifted me up, and at the same time, he lowered his head and kissed me. John's crisp oud scent enveloped me entirely, and he kissed me until I could barely breathe. When I finally pushed him away to catch my breath, I looked up at him and asked, John, you don't have your cleanliness OCD anymore? John couldn't take it anymore, gritting his teeth. Shut up. After saying that, he bit my lip as if punishing me. I swear, at that time, I really wanted to push him away. I don't know how it happened, but we ended up hugging on the sofa. And then somehow, we ended up sleeping together. Because John has cleanliness OCD, his office has a private bathroom. After showering, I was completely dazed. I quickly put on my clothes, dried my hair, and sat respectfully on the sofa waiting for John to come out. When John came out, his hair was already dry, his shirt buttoned neatly, returning to his usual lifeless appearance. I didn't dare look him in the eye, just forced a smile. If there's nothing else, I'll be going now. John looked down at me. Emily, you want to run away after sleeping with me? I was a bit stunned, blinking, and picked up my phone. Then, how about I transfer you 500? John's eye twitched, his face turning even sourer. Am I only worth 500? I said painfully. I'll transfer you 1,000, okay? No forced buying or selling next time. The tall, handsome male models at KTV only cost 500. John was truly amused this time. You dare to order male models? That night you sent me the message, were you drunk at a KTV, ordering male models, and then mistakenly sent it to me. I have to say, John's intuition is even sharper than a woman's. I looked up at him in shock, sincerely praising. John, you're amazing, how did you know? John hesitated several times, finally closing his eyes in despair. I seized the chance to slip away, but he pulled me back into his arms, pinched my cheek and said with some anger, Emily, you've got some nerve, daring to order male models. I forced a smile. Work is busy, I need to relieve stress, and it's not just me, our company also has. John raised an eyebrow. Who else? I immediately shut up, looking up at John. I won't order any more from now on. I thought to myself, anyway, you won't know if I order in the future. John looked down at me, suddenly serious, his voice gentle. Emily, be my girlfriend. My pupils shook with shock. If John is good-looking, it might be okay to meet up occasionally, but he's really annoying in both life and work. I shook my head. John looked disappointed. Why? I was very honest. Because over these 3 years, I've found that you don't have major flaws, but you have a bunch of minor ones. I'm afraid that after being with you, you'll make me wear shoe covers at home and wipe the floor multiple times. John couldn't help but smile. No, we have a maid to clean at home. I added, I'm afraid you'll nitpick me like you do at work and take the chance to dock my pay. John said, No, I'll give you a raise. In the future, during our relationship, living expenses will be $500,000 per month, and after marriage, $3 million per month. My eyes widened. John quickly explained, If you feel that saying this is disrespectful to you, then I can. I reached out and covered his mouth. It's very respectful, really very respectful. I looked up at him. And besides this 500,000, my salary will still be paid as usual, right? John laughed. Paid as usual. I reached out, interlocking my fingers with John's. Then I agree. My secret relationship with John wasn't exposed until 3 months later, when my rival Wendy stumbled upon it. The morning it happened, I was at the company arguing with Wendy over reimbursement issues, almost getting into a physical fight. In the end, John, who rushed over, separated us. I said John was biased towards Wendy, and Wendy said John was biased towards me. John was overwhelmed. Unexpectedly, that afternoon, Wendy discovered John and I's private affair. It wasn't because John and I were obvious at the company, but because John took me home to meet his parents, and we ran into each other. Before going, I was seriously planning what gifts to bring for John's father and stepmother. John smiled beside me. I think you probably don't want to bring a gift for my stepmother. I acutely caught something and asked him, Could it be that you don't get along with your stepmother? Right, generally in wealthy families like yours, there must be a lot of drama. Did she cause your mom's? I immediately covered my mouth, looking incredulous. John was speechless. When my mom passed away, My dad hadn't even met her yet. What's going on in that little head of yours? I was a bit confused. Then I should still bring something for your stepmother aunt. Do you know what she usually likes? The smile in John's eyes deepened. She usually likes, as long as you keep your distance from her and don't open your mouth to upset her. I gave him a displeased glance. Just talking nonsense. When we arrived at John's family home, his father, wearing a Zhongshan suit, greeted us with a smile. My eyes met Wendy, who was wearing a cheongsam, smiling gently as she held onto John's father's arm. My pupils shook with shock. Wendy. Wendy's pupils also shook with shock at that moment. Emily. I looked at John. John held my hand and walked forward. Dad, Auntie, this is my girlfriend, Emily. I specially brought her to visit you today. John's father said with a smile. You two probably know each other from the company, right? I smiled. We know each other. Wendy gritted her teeth. Quite familiar. I pinched John's palm hard, my forced smile almost breaking. Wendy quickly shifted from shock to a forced smile. It was the first time I saw Wendy so gentle, completely different from the shrew she was at the company. Wendy probably also saw me being so polite for the first time, calling her Auntie Wendy repeatedly. In the end, this meal made me restless. Before leaving, Wendy handed me a heavy red envelope. Emily, come visit often in the future. I took the red envelope. Thank you, Auntie. After leaving, I finally relaxed. John, who was driving, was almost laughing hysterically. I punched him several times hard. Why didn't you tell me that Wendy is your stepmother? You deliberately wanted to see me make a fool of myself, right? John leaned over, ruffled my hair, and then fastened my seatbelt. I was afraid that if I told you, it would be awkward when you two met at the company. Not telling me doesn't make it less awkward? I punched him several more times before feeling satisfied. John coaxed me. All right, baby, what do you want to eat tonight? Anything. I'll send you a big red envelope later to make up for it. Only then did I turn from anger to joy. I want to eat at that new French restaurant across from the company, and order every dish on the menu. John said dotingly. Okay. I relaxed in the passenger seat of John's car, eating snacks. I watched the rows of tall plane trees flash by outside the window. The afternoon sun was pleasant and warm. I reached out and held John's hand. John tapped my hand with his thumb. During a red light, we smiled at each other. I hope every day in the future can be as smooth and sweet as this.